and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordon Brown, and with me, as always, is our brilliant bestie. Say hi, brilliant bestie.
Hi, brilliant bestie. What if I said something completely different?
I mean,
what if you said that my callback
was
was something totally different? Same tone, same energy, but just something that threw you for a loop. Not totally different, just a little bit off, a little bit wrong. Just start the podcast off on a slightly uneasy foot.
I would. I mean, it'd be on brand for us. Speaking of uneasy foots, this is not in any way actually a transition. Remember a couple of episodes ago, I told you that we had 100% upvotes across the board, and you were like, someone's going to downvote this video.
Yes.
Someone did downvote that video.
Love
and
that.
At first it hurt my feelings, and then I realized they were leaning into the bit of what you had called for, and it made me laugh very, very hard.
I love that. And also too, you're not really living until you have a hater, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're not really doing it until somebody's hating what you're doing.
Since then, someone has gone back and downvoted every one of our videos. And
Amazing.
I was like, all right, you could be jealous. That's fine.
You got time.
Like you took some energy out to go through the playlist. Vic, oh my goodness, I'm so excited to talk to you about so many things. But
Jordon,
before we get into it,
weeks for us both.
Yeah, I will say, like, as someone who saw you do improv Saturday night, Sunday night, and then watched you on Game Changer on Monday,
I apologize. I owe you money,
the number of times I heard you say the word "come" really surprised me over the course of those 3 nights.
Me too. That is not my sense of humor. There's something about being on stage with men exclusively men, and that's where it goes. And you got a yes and it's just sort of where it ends up.
Especially Gabrus, right? Like I've seen him do enough improv.
Truly one of my favorite people to improvise with in the world. And weirdly enough, I do think that this is the bluest. Not to say that I know that that's like, but this is the bluest I think like my improv with him has ever been, which is just so interesting.
Yeah,
live on stage.
Yes, it was super fun. Before we dive into it, though, if Richard Dreyfuss approached you to be on season 2 of Very Important People, what would you say?
Aren't you dead?
Is Richard Dreyfuss dead? Richard Dreyfuss isn't dead.
That would be my question. Aren't you dead?
Is Richard Dreyfuss dead? No.
And then he would say no, and I'd say, "Oh,
yep.
I'm so glad you're here." No.
Do you have any idea what I'm talking? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Yes.
Is this the cut that's finally too deep for me?
Yep.
Where did this come from?
How do you feel about Mr. Holland's opus?
Oh God. Bad. I feel bad about it. I feel like I wasted like 5 hours of my life watching it and then rewatching it in order to do that podcast. One of my favorite podcasts in the world, outside of this one. But outside of this one. But Scott Hasn't Seen is truly one of my favorite podcasts in the world.
It's super, super fun. I will say I did pay $8 to learn that bit. So like,
is it behind a paywall?
It is behind
Jordan,
a paywall.
Email me. I can send these to you. What are you doing?
Then you would know that I was going to make a reference to that terrible movie. And I will say this does kind of transition. Yeah, I have.
I'm not gonna lie. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it in like 25 years ago or whatever. So like,
what did you think
in my head? Well, in my head, it was good. And then I listened to the podcast. And as I was listening to the podcast, similar to the co-host whose name I don't remember, I was like, Sprague. I was like, no, this does sound bad. Fully, this does sound bad. I saw it in the late 90s when I was like 13 or whatever.
In, like,
and for
gym
me,
class,
I was just
like rainy day. Watch it in 2 parts. Yeah. I mean, it's so tough. That movie was retired by the time I was in school. We were very much a Remember the Titans. Was very much like, and that movie was old when we were watching it. And that was the one. And then at one point we saw, what is that movie? Patriot. And we had to get permission slips to watch it. And I don't know why we watched it.
Because of America. Wait, but weren't you in Canada at that point?
No, this
I
would
am
have been
very
in
unclear
8th grade.
on your timeline of your life.
And you never will be.
Perfect.
I moved up to Canada when I was 15, like between 15 and 16. We sort of
and it immediately absorbed all of the Canadian niceness that you could. Because you are maybe the kindest human being I've ever met.
Jordan, shut up. That's so nice.
Listen, gang. Vic got me on the guest list for 2 shows at South by Southwest, and then thanked me for coming.
That is to do. It was a blessing. I was so kind that you wanted to come to the show. I was so grateful that you wanted to do it, and then I got to see your face in person.
Yeah,
how wonderful! And I got to meet your wife, who was lovely. Like all around, it was such a blessing. I so appreciate you guys making the trip out.
Yeah, it was super fun and very funny shows. The Mr. Holland's Opus thing does connect to something here, though, because at the shows you had your number 1 favorite movie, Twister. I knew that already. Number 3 was San Andreas, and then you just fully couldn't come up with a number 2.
No, because I'm like, San Andreas is number 3. You know, when it's like I think number 2 is sort of a revolving door, right? Because I feel like
my wife
see
has
movies...
a pitch for you.
Okay.
Dante's Peak.
I do love Dante's Peak, and I love Cliffhanger.
She loves Dante's Peak.
Yeah, Dante's Peak
she was
is
so
great.
excited.
Is that
she was
Pierce
like,
Brosnan?
"You have to." Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
it's one of the volcano movies. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Pierce Brosnan. She was like, "You have to ask Vic if they've seen Dante's Peak," and I was
it's
like,
a good
right,
pick. It's a really good pick. I still think that Cliffhanger and Dante's Peak would come in around 4, and I did think of what my favorite. I feel like I do see movies and I go, this is my favorite movie, but it's never better than Twister, which means it would come in at that number 2 slot and then sort of constantly revolve. And I think for a while it was Cruella. Did you see that one?
I did not.
Where the dogs, the reason that Cruella was bad, sorry, spoiler alert, is that the dogs killed
the dogs,
her mom.
Yeah, ripped her mother apart. Yep. Truly a wild ending.
I loved that
I didn't see
movie.
it, but I'm online enough to know it.
That's how it happened. I loved that movie. I'm thinking that maybe is number 2. Is that crazy? I think it maybe is.
You know what I'm really excited for?
Tell me.
And this is just like a tease for our committed listeners. Fully, I expect us to do a 1-hour recap of Twisters when it comes out.
I can't wait. It comes out right after my birthday, and I am like, I do legitimately think maybe I'll rent out a theater.
I love that.
Is that crazy? Is AMC still doing that for a penny and a song?
Yeah,
where you can rent out a theater for the day.
I think, and I think for like $5, Nicole Kidman will show up and tell you.
I love that. They're cutting her ad. Did you see that?
I did see that. I'm
heartbreaking.
I am upset by it.
It can't even feel good in a place like that. I love that. Okay, no, I hate it. I think it's bad. I love that pitch. I think that's going to come in a top 5. Like, those disaster movies really just do something. I really just think that they're so good, and it is cool because there's nothing more heightened. There's like no better vehicle for a love story than a disaster movie. I really believe that.
I love it. I love it so much.
How are the stakes higher? You know what I mean? It's like
it couldn't be.
No, it's in the same way that like rom-coms
around
are fun.
A pipe and hold on for dear life.
I want to see.
Nothing more romantic.
I want to see. That's my Helen Hunt impression. And it was perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Do we think Helen Hunt's going to show up in Twisters?
Oh, for sure.
I think so.
Right? They dropped they got a dump truck of money they brought to her house, and they're like, come on for one day.
Yeah, she's going to be like an old storm chaser. Not old. She's not old at all. She's beautiful. And not that being beautiful and your age has anything to do with anything, but I do legitimately think that she's going to be like the aunt. Like there was an aunt in that one, or she's going to be living in a house and she's going to be like, I'm going to stay. Get out of here. She's going to be like, no, I want to watch. And that's going to be sort of the callback.
Bill Paxton Pullman. Which one?
R.I.P. Bill Paxton. So he will not be.
You. Yeah, well, do we think he's off-screen killed by a tornado?
They're never going to discuss it, and it's not going to come up. But yes, it'll just be part of the process of the actor's story making.
So, as you were struggling to come up with your number 2, every ounce of me wanted to scream Mr. Holland's Opus. And I was like, not the time, not the place. Don't do it, Jordan. And I was like, also, then it's going to ruin the part where you ask Vic about Richard Dreyfuss VIP.
You got to figure out where to put that $8.
Yeah.
Where's the most juice for that $8?
Yeah. Tell you what, the bummer, not even bummer, because it was absolutely worth $8. So fun. And I'm probably going to listen to more before my month is up. But I got behind the first paywall and then still couldn't listen to it because it was behind a deeper paywall. So it starts at 5 and then you have to give him another 3. And I was like,
in order to get to Scott hasn't seen. Tough.
Yes. Also, speaking of Scott, someone on one of the posts that I always make about you about these shows called you Scott Awker They. Boy, that's good.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
It's Awkerman.
Yeah.
Would it be Awker them?
I think it'd be Awker them, but
still, it's really good.
It's really good.
Listen, it's good, and you got to give props where props are due. I really genuinely think that is wonderful. If I see you, I'll give you $1. I'll give you $1. $2.
Person whose name $8. I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, me? I don't need $8. I'm
going to give $8. No, I'm gonna save that $8. I'm going to give it to the person that came up with that.
I love it. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Sam Says?
No.
I hope our video doesn't freeze while this is happening.
It couldn't. It would never.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually just a test to see if you would freeze, if the game is still actually.
And I didn't ever, and I didn't ever then, and now I won't. So it never happened, and it never will happen.
I don't know if the game is over or not.
Neither do I.
Say. Yeah.
I get emails from Sam sometimes, and I'm just like, is this a secret surprise episode of Game Changers? Is this this is my secret. I got the call for VIP. And I literally was like, this is some weird Game Changers episode that I'm going to show up and I'm going to just get like a bunch of like lobsters thrown on top of me. I'm deathly allergic to shellfish and I'm just going to die on the Game Changer set. They're going to film it. They're going to pop it on behind the paywall. Like, I think that might be where we're going.
Yeah. I mean, truly, my God, just
turn my brain bad.
Yeah. An episode of television that I don't there aren't words to describe it because it was too much in every way in the best way possible.
It's like those Game Changers is like just so, it is so fun. It is so fun. And then you get there and it's so funny sometimes, like just in having some conversations with people where they're like, did you think about it like this? Did you think about doing this? Like, what about this for this? And I'm just like, you were in full fight or flight mode. You were in full like survive. Yeah. Get to the end.
Yeah. And it turns out the end was not the end.
No.
There was the cruelest trick imaginable of going on the party bus and the points continuing to decrease.
I mean, a little behind the curtain, we genuinely thought that it was going to be like whoever like partied the best. So we were like really like, we came up with a bunch of games. We were like, we're going to do this. We really thought it was going to be like the twist at the end was going to be like us getting judged on. We thought that there was something else, but we really genuinely thought that it was going to be like getting judged on how well we partied.
Yeah.
Like, who's that guy from Jersey Shore? The situation comes out and is doing like freeze frame play by play of like what we did on the bus. But no.
It was so much meaner. I will say I tried to do the math. I think you still would have lost even if you had not given away a bunch of points to make things even. So I mean, at least
the names really got me. The names across the board. I just like it is. It's my Achilles heel. Truly, it was just like point after point after point. And I don't even know if they ended up airing all of it because it just was such a hat on a pig hat on a pig hat, you know.
Speaking of pigs with hats, did you get to meet Henry after?
No, never.
Sam Reich, you monster.
Literally, first time I saw him was when the episode aired.
Oh my gosh. So I assume that means Jacob did, because I do have pigs and hogs written down in my notes. I assume that means Jacob never got to see Robert Reich's hog either. I know he was very disappointed that he wanted to see.
No, that one was just morbid curiosity. And we really spent a lot of time that you didn't see morbid curiosity. I mean, just a person, just a body. Bodies are bodies. And it really was one of those things where we were like, that was one that really almost was a moment where all of us were just sort of like, well, do we look? This can't be real. Sam didn't bring a naked photo of his father. And we were like, it's just there. It's like full out unedited. Like it's just there. And he's like, yes. And then literally you look back and obviously they blurred it for the episode, but I think it was just a photo.
Yeah. Wild.
Did we get permission? What was he? Secretary of the Interior? That seems wrong. Secretary of State?
Secretary of Labor.
Secretary of Labor.
You're Secretary of State. We all know that. I am deep in the paint on things you have produced.
Yes.
I was going to save that one, but calling you Secretary of State would never be funny as this current world events are. So it's just like, well, we're just never going to be able to use this one.
That sort of was it. It was just sort of like a really dumb, weird little bit I was doing. And then it was just sort of like, this isn't fun. This isn't fun. Yeah. It's bad. It's like when life started becoming Veep episodes and then the show just sort of started becoming like, I was showing it to my sister who's 10 years younger than me. And she was just sort of like, this is funny. I just like, I don't know, like, where are they just like looking at what's happening? And they're like, is it like, are they trying to keep up with what's happening? And I'm like, no.
No.
This was crazy when this aired.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, this is insane. It was the craziest thing anybody had ever heard.
Yeah. I was at a conference once where the showrunner for Veep was there, and I asked him if it was, because it was pretty shortly after Ted Cruz on 9/11 liked a semi-incestuous bisexual porn video on Twitter, and I was like, what do you do when that happens in the real world? Like, what do you do? And he was like, we had an actual storyline that Jonah had had porn tabs open and like got caught because he was like sharing his, like, took a picture of his screen into like what he was looking at, and he was like, and we had to basically scrap it because
that was happening at the same time.
Yeah,
man, that's so nuts.
Yeah,
that's so nuts. That's so fun. Man, that's so cool. Where did you hear him talk? Was he in Texas, or was this when you were in LA?
No, this was in Texas. It was at Texas Tribune Festival. They bring in like journalists and other folks, and they had him come in to talk about things.
When you were head of the journalism department for the state of Texas.
Yes, exactly. It's for the entire state of Texas. You want to hear my wonderful nightmare story?
Yes.
From this event. So I'm like kind of friends with Melissa Bell, who worked at Vox, like the Vox news outlet.
Great.
And I'm chatting with her at one of these events, and she's like, and this guy walks up, and it's when badges at like events only are printed on one side.
Yeah.
His had flipped around, so I didn't see what his name was. And she was like, do you know Dave? And I was like, no. And she was like, he does great work for the Washington Post. And I was like, oh, cool. And then he like talks to me for a little bit about like what he does, and then like talks about like some other journalism class stuff that he's done. And then I go and sit down, and 20 minutes later, I realize it was David Fahrenholt, the Pulitzer Prize winning reporter for the Washington Post, who had done all of the reporting on Trump's things, and looked him dead in the eye and told him I didn't know. I'm never
going to know who this is, Dave. And then you said that, and I was like, oh, I do know that name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not going to know who this is.
I've never heard anyone call him Dave. Like, he'd always been David Fahrenholt to me. And so when she said Dave, I was like, I got nothing. And I'm not good with faces. And so like, yeah.
Being like, oh, cute. If you have any questions about journalism, you just like, I'll give you my email.
Anyway, when's your Pulitzer? Phenomenal. Speaking of not good with faces, you walked by me at South by Southwest.
Yes.
And I shouted your name, and you just
I am legitimately hard of hearing, and I didn't have my hearing aids in, and also I always assume that people are not talking or thinking about me. Otherwise, because I have 5 siblings and 2 sisters, and if I walked into a room and assumed that people were talking about me like they normally are in that situation, I would go insane.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't follow you because you missed the entrance to the theater, and I assumed did the entire block and came back around.
Straight past it, and I realized that there was no back entrance to the theater, and I went, great, I'm just going to keep walking for a little bit. And then I had to do the walk of shame where I turned around and then had to ask somebody for help. And it really is the thing that you always come back to, which is just ask for help. It's okay. Everybody needs help sometimes.
I will say I didn't like chase you down to tell you that you had missed the entrance, because when you didn't turn when I shouted your name, I was like, oh, that's just the person who I thought was Vic. That was definitely not Vic, because they didn't even like
when you see somebody in person and it is just sort of like, it's mostly like how you envision that person to look like, but it's not totally what they like.
Yes.
There's when you hit somebody with 3 dimensions, it always is a little bit different.
You were considerably taller than I expected.
Is that true?
Yes.
How tall did you think I was?
I like 5'5", 5'6".
Yeah, I get that a lot. No, 5'9".
Yeah.
Tall.
That was, yeah.
Tall-ish.
I also hadn't seen this week's episode of Game Changer. Is that one? Yeah. So I hadn't seen you towering over Sam yet. And I know he is a short man, but like you had a good 5 inches on him.
I saw that clip and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. I actually, like, are you competitive?
Yes.
Normally. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think again, it's like that type of thing, that fight that I always have of like, I am a very competitive person. I think it's more fun to care about things genuinely. I just like, and especially in a situation like that, I'm like, I think the funnier version of something is to like care about whether you win or lose, even if it's like nothing. I'm just like, I don't know. But also too, I think I sometimes trick people into thinking I am like more chill than I am. Cause there's things, if I like, I don't know, like if I don't have a take or if I'm not passionate about something or it just like, you know, I don't have any kind of like a overall thought on it, or like I'm not like I don't know what the word would be. I'm not like uptight about everything for just being uptight's sake, or like I'm not like controlling of everything just for control's sake. Like if it's something that I know about or something that I'm excited about or something that I'm working on, that's one thing. But I don't know, like other stuff, I love deferring and learning to people that know more than me.
Yeah. Did you hear the scream? Is that what?
It's so cute. Just hearing the little play sounds in the background, incredible.
Yeah, there might be another child here still.
Having a good time.
We had a baby shower today. There were 3 small children here.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah, so Parker got to play with some kids. It's very exciting.
That is very exciting.
But yeah, it's very funny because like I don't feel like I had seen this side of you. In terms of like really locked in competitive Vic. It's like make some noise because the point system is obviously gibberish nonsense.
It gets cut out so often of me being like, what does that mean? How many points is this? Right? I totally understand that, but what do we mean by that? Like I feel like I do a lot of that, and a lot of that ends up on the cutting room floor.
That's fair. Oh man, the Brennan prompt of how do you really feel about our loosey goosey point system and how fast he went into his so people online had said like they feel like your turn on very important people impacted this, that you like feel more comfortable in like how much you can push the envelope at Dropout, because it was sort of a side we had not seen of you in terms of just like hyper competitive, like so fun, but also just like playing with the space as you always do, but like, you know, really leaning into some stuff that I'm guessing wrecked your DMs.
Yeah, yes. I mean, like, honestly, what was nice about sort of like having that moment of calling it out was it was a lot of people being like, if anybody's in your DMs being mean, let me know and I'll fight them. But also, I love the episode, which was very sweet. It was like a best case scenario. So actually, like, wrecked in a wonderful way.
Thank goodness.
Cleaned, improved, cleansed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because also it's too like, you know, like at the end of the day, it's like we're doing all of this is sort of like, you know, improvised in reality. We just all happen to do comedy, and then things get like cut and served for a story. And like, the only other time I've done Game Changers, for example, was in Survivor, and I was approaching.
You know, it's Game Changers singular, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Multiple Game Changers. It was 4 episodes of Survivor, so I was speaking about it in the plural. That's what I meant.
Of course, yeah. Anyway,
I did Game Changer
Battle
because
Royale,
I was in a couple Battle Royale.
Yep.
It was also like, you know, I mean, like I went into that with a very different strategy, I would say, which is sort of like, you know, like a lot of my favorite players being like, you know, sort of the like more on the social side of things and like strategy based and anchored in there. And so that really was sort of like what's going on, what's happening here, and sort of like using that and wielding it. But I would also say, like, you know, we shot that for like 2 days, and if they had wanted to, there was like a very different edit in there for all of us, you know. So I just think it was like what served the story best there. And I think it's like strategy with anything here. And I think with Sam Says, also too, just like getting to do it with like 2 of my besties, it was like it was a dream. It's like, you know, it's also like stuff like that where it's the people that you're with are also gonna change sort of the vibe of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, also definitely too, you know, like knowing a lot of like the crew and knowing Sam a lot better, it also will definitely impact me not feeling like, oh God, maybe I will get fired. Maybe I get fired. Maybe they'll just say no more thank you.
Yeah. Make Sam cringe was, and like you said, like the clip is incredible. You just like over Sam as he was just like asking him for $1. It was $1, right?
It was $1.
And then Lou saying, do you need money? Your instant, no, I don't, Sam, can I have $1? Like, so good. So funny.
Thank you.
I mean, how'd that feel in the moment? Do you remember any of it?
I mean, it is one of those things where genuinely, like, I feel like there's like bits and pieces that I'd completely forgotten about in filming. Like the pieces that I really remembered from filming were the pig, obviously. Can't forget that ever. Yep. I remember the party bus really well. And I remember, of course, the body falling from the ceiling.
My God.
But outside of that, like I remember the fall doing like the do something for slow-mo and then lose cat burglar edit specifically. But it's also fun to see because like you put things online and then like things you know, it's like it's so interesting watching stuff play in the room and then watching stuff play back like in real life, because you look at something where like the Dragon Ball Z thing that Jacob did animated and played so incredibly well. It was amazing. But like in the room it was like it was so fun and it was so cool, but like Lou's definitely got the bigger laugh in the room and just like getting us all involved. It was just like it was cool and awesome and it was a callback and it was very full circle. So it's like very interesting to see stuff like that, like how it plays in the room versus like then when all of it comes together, how that plays. And especially like I'd seen a bunch of clips of the other Sam Says, but I hadn't seen the full episodes, and I went back and I watched all 3 of them. God, I wish maybe I don't wish I'd watched them beforehand, because I think had I like really sat down and watched them all the way through, I would have been more scared going into it, and I was already very scared going into it.
I mean, yeah, Sam really, boy, he upped the game on this one. That body drop was horrifying.
Yeah, it was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I also really love the PA who comes out behind Lou and like I think like touches Lou's back and he just like jumps out of his skin.
I'm here.
Yeah, just to be like, hey, I'm coming behind you. It's incredible.
I mean, I've
seen one thirst edit of you from your slow-mo hair flip.
Of me?
Yeah. And I will say, because at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But then they also had made a Jacob one, and I was like, all right, well, if we're doing everybody, that's so fine.
Nice.
Yeah, a bunch of clips from like you and like Battle Royale, a bunch of others, like a bunch of stuff that you had done.
That's so nice. I know Paul Rubolino will sometimes send me like edits like that, which is always like they're always so fun and kind to see. I so appreciate that. It's very kind. It's very sweet. And I don't know what else to say. What else to say.
Someone also referred to you as hinged chaos online. That like Allie Beardsley is unhinged chaos and you are hinged chaos. And I was like, that's fantastic. Yeah.
That feels true. That feels true in my heart.
Yeah. I will say, like, watching the episode with my wife, audibly we said Vic no so many times when he didn't say Sam Says
that
first.
That freeze dance one, I literally do not know what happened. I heard the sentence, Jacob said what I was thinking, which is just like, this doesn't make sense in my mind. And or Sam Says or not at the end of that or something like that. I was like, oh, great. So it's like a double negative where it's I'm not supposed to freeze when he says freeze. And so that was sort of what was happening in my mind. And then it was a 50-50 where Lou had stopped and Jacob hadn't stopped. And I was just like, well, go with my gut.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, it was intentionally confusing. And it was Sam in a recording, I assume not super audible on set.
So quiet.
Yeah. it just absolute magic.
Thank you for watching. I so appreciate it. It was so fun. I was so excited for this to come out. And again, just like getting to do it with like two of my very good pals was just like wonderful and lovely and very exciting.
Yeah, Kate, whose last name I don't remember, the on-set photographer, really captured a beautiful moment of like you, like full host Vic against the wall, like everyone just so defeated at the end of that episode as you're discovering that you've been losing points for however many hours you were on the party bus.
We also had just been filming for like 3.5 hours at that point, and like for that to be the end result, just I mean, true and utter brokenness.
Yeah, no, it is apparent, and I mean, delightfully fun. I think a bunch of people were surprised. They thought the swear jar was going to win because the swear jar had more points than anyone at the end of the game, I believe. And then because the swear jar didn't come into play, people are like, I don't think the episode's over yet. I think something else is happening. And obviously, who's to say not you can't and you won't. It's I almost emailed Sam today to see if he wanted to pop in after I said the word freeze, so that he could be like, that's 1 point away from you, Vic. But I didn't
never
because
recover.
we're friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Whose side are you on, Jordon?
Yours always.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Look, I didn't say Jacob or Lou no when they made mistakes. It was only you that I was like, Vic, no.
I needed the help.
Yeah.
Salmon says. Salmon?
Salmon says. Yeah, that was a mean one. That's so close.
Yeah. And it preys on my agreeableness.
Yes. Yeah. And auditory issues. I think that's discrimination. Let's cancel Sam Reich.
I love that. Yes.
Vic Michaelis, new host of Game Changers.
I couldn't. I literally couldn't. I don't think. There is no more perfect person for that job than Sam. I literally can't think of anybody else that could do it the way that he does it.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that about. Can't think of anybody that could do it the way that he does it. What does that mean? I could say that literally about anybody with anything. It was meant to be a compliment, and it literally ended up being nothing.
I understood what you were going for.
Jordan, nobody hosts a podcast like you host a podcast.
Because I just agree with everything you say.
But it's like a compliment, and it's meant to be a compliment, but it is kind of nothing, because it's true. Nobody hosts a podcast like you host a podcast, because you are hosting the podcast. So inherently nobody is hosting it like you're hosting it.
Amazing. Yeah.
You're very good at hosting a podcast. That's a compliment.
That is a compliment.
Specifically naming something.
Yeah. Sam is very good at hosting Make Some Noise and Game Changer.
Yeah.
It's
so wonderful.
In his blood.
Creates such a great environment. Except for sometimes when it's the most toxic place on the planet. So good. And then also occasionally makes it the worst place to be on Earth.
Yeah. I just... I need to go back and rewatch Escape the Green Room. Because I don't know that, because that was my like bankable, that's my favorite episode answer if someone asked, and I think Sam Says 3 might have replaced it.
Two very different things, like two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. I mean, I guess they're all game changers, they're all on the same coin, but it is like, it's interesting because I mean, like, I love that episode too. I really, really love it, but it's like friends coming together and like winning and like succeeding, and then friends coming together and being just crushed. You think maybe they'll do it, and instead just a total party kill.
Yeah. I mean, some of my favorite moments in that episode like are Lou calling out Jacob for saying come and just being like, Sam, are we not counting that one? And then Jacob's just like, hey, what are we doing? And then you coming in mediating, so good. Sam is very good at fracturing people's psyches in just the funniest way imaginable.
1000%. That whole team is really wonderful and amazing.
Yeah. I am a big fan of being razzed, as obviously Sam is as well. And truly, like, you sound like... You seem like your kids call you by your first name is such a funny roast. So good.
Thank you. That was one of those ones where like I knew I had to, that was my plan to get the yelling or the screaming, and I had literally not thought through what the back half of that was going to look like. So it was kind of that thing. I was like, I sacrificed 1 point for 1 point, and so did I really get a point at all? Is how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, the game's not meant to be won. It's meant to just be not lost by someone accidentally.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Sam's a mean man.
What kind of episode do you have? Like one where you're like, this is the type of episode I would want to do. Like having looked back on all of them, like watched them, like be like, this is the episode I would want to jump into.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's hard not to say Sam Says, just because like it is psychological torture that feels very fun. And
I will say I am somebody that I think is like good at like listening to instructions and being tricked, and I just like it was so difficult. It was so much more difficult in the moment. Yeah. Like it is I do think though you would be better at it than me in terms of like I genuinely do.
This is not going to be like I think I'd be good at it. Like I'm like watching actually at home and be like, I'd know the answers.
No, but it's like, it's always interesting to be like, I do genuinely think I'm thinking about like a lot of your skill sets, and like, I think especially with the journalism and like knowing how like language works and interviewing, I wonder if that would be, I do think it would be a pretty big asset.
Yeah, it would be very fun. I am also a hyper competitive person. So like, give me a game I can win. Like I want to be in there. Just being so upset when I lose.
Absolutely. It also was pretty messed up because Legos are my favorite thing on the planet. I love Legos, and to lose the Lego kit was tough.
It's pretty. It's so mean. Everything about it was mean.
All of it.
Yeah. Oh, Sam. Yeah, I at least, like you should have gotten the swear jar money. Because you didn't swear on the bus.
I agree on that, actually. No, yeah. I actually 1000% agree with that, and I think maybe we should write it.
Yeah.
We should write it and retroactively get that money.
Yeah, all right.
I'll lose the game. I'll take the cash. Actually, is how I feel about it.
And then you can buy Lego. There you go.
And there we go. And so now we're thinking big picture. I love that.
Yeah. I'm curious what it's like on like the differences you see as like performing on stage like at UCB versus performing at like Make Some Noise versus Game Changer versus like VIP. All improv, but all like very different like outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, like, all using and predicated on the same set of skills. It's it is just, I mean, the big thing being your audience and the way you're interacting with an audience. I mean, like, I think what's so nice about performing for nobody and bombing for so long is you create this like big internal metronome of like, I think that this is funny, or like, this is a funny joke. This is like crafted, like this type of humor is my sense of humor. This is what I find funny. And it's one thing playing with an audience, but then sometimes it's going like, I'm doing good work at a good level, but this is not the right audience for what I'm doing. And I think that is so valuable, knowing what is funny to you, why it is funny, why it works in front of an audience, and then also being able to replicate that, even if it is not the right audience for your performance. And then what's nice about that is like in like a live stage setting, you can sort of adjust to sort of like what an audience is into. And then you just don't have that barometer in the same way and anything filmed. It's just not something that you have in the same way. So you really rely on that sort of internal that internal audience going like, this is my take on it. This is how I think this is funny. This is like my, it's helpful, especially in Make Some Noise. Now, the crew is like very generous with laughing and like making it feel like a very fun and light environment. But yeah, it really does rely a lot more on you going, yeah, this is funny. This is why it's funny. And just sort of like going for it and then going like, it'll hopefully play and find its audience somewhere. Somebody who likes this sense of humor will find it and also enjoy it. Don't know if that answered your question, but that's how I feel about it.
Look, it wouldn't be a Vic interview if at the end of at least one sentence you questioned whether or not you had. Yeah. Oh man. This is just for the folks at home, because people that weren't at South by Southwest. Truly a fantastic moment that I just adored was when you weren't sure if appreciation was a noun or not.
Sure.
And how quickly you caved when someone was like, no, I think it is. And you were like, yeah, we agree. We're all on the same page. One of my favorite bits that you do is how quickly you acquiesce to any sort of confrontation.
I'll jump in. I'm going to mark it, but then, if that's where we're going, I'm going with you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
not going to get left at the gas station.
Makes sense to me. Oh, also speaking of South by Southwest, let's talk tacos.
Yes.
Because I sent you a pretty extensive list of restaurant recommendations for the 36 hours you were in Austin.
Correct. I ended up going to all of them, all of the taco places, and I went to Royal Grocery.
Royal Blue, yeah.
Yes, which the coffee was unbelievable. That's all I got there, but it was great. Shocking lack of coffee shops in Austin.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because LA, it's like every house and every store is a coffee shop, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, no, and you know what's funny is like your order on them, I think, is the correct order. Okay. I went to Torchy's first because I remember I went there the last time I was in Austin, and I remember liking it, and I was like, good. Queso's really good. Tacos are good. And then I went to,
Taco Deli and
Taco Deli, really good. I went to Taco Deli second, and I liked Taco Deli better than I liked Torchy's, and I just thought it was like fun. There was just some fun tacos there. And then I went to Veracruz, and it was the best taco I've ever had, maybe.
Oh my god, yeah.
Best Tex-Mex taco for sure.
Yeah, that Miga's taco is out of this world. I was so excited when, I'm so excited whenever I get to have them. But when I saw someone had asked Alton Brown, what's your favorite taco you've ever had? And he was like, the Miga's taco at Veracruz. And I was like, agreed, Alton.
I genuinely think it might have been I've had street tacos in LA that are as good, but those are more traditional. Whereas on a corn tortilla, you're getting them the small ones. Whereas this was hands down the best Tex-Mex style taco. Would that be considered Tex-Mex?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hands down, not even close.
Yeah.
So good. And I got the vegan queso, and I actually, hot take maybe, liked it better than the one at Torchy's.
Ooh, I don't think I've had their vegan queso.
It's
I might have to go today to find out if I like it that much. I think you're going to have to
try it. Well, unless you hate it, in which case I hate it too.
Yeah, no, yeah. We'll be on the same page no matter what.
I think so.
As someone who is lactose intolerant, always on the lookout for a good vegan queso so that I don't have to take pills.
It's really good. I also just think any cashew-based, creamy stuff, I'm like, it does it for me. It does it for me in the same way that milk-based stuff does for the most part. There's, do you have Van Leeuwen's out there?
No, but I've had... I've had it. I don't know if we have it here or not. I've had it in New York.
Van Leeuwen's vegan chocolate ice cream, I'm just
so
as good. Sorry, I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's how I feel about it.
It's really good. Yeah, I almost recommended, this isn't vegan, but I almost recommended a burger place here called P. Terry's. So they have a veggie burger. It's not vegan. It has cheese in it.
Right.
Or I think they make it with cream. Anyway,
the burger with cream.
The veggie burger. It has
burger.
Anyway, I know people who aren't vegetarians who order the veggie burger when they go there. It's that good.
Whoa,
and you would
that's
love
like Burgers
because...
Priest in Toronto. They did sort of a shroom burger, which Shake Shack also did, but the cheese that they use in Toronto is so much better. I think I just really like Canadian dairy. It's very similar to Wisconsin dairy in my opinion, but the Canadian cheddar cheese curds are so unbelievably good. So good. If you're ever in Toronto, I actually have not eaten there in I want to say 8 years. So if it's terrible, I don't know what to tell you.
It's someone else's fault, not yours.
Else's fault at this point.
That makes me very happy. I think I texted you this, that I was really honored that you went to all of them, because it really, like, food is so important to me.
Same.
When my wife and I go on vacation, it's funny, I talked to Sam about this, about, like, because he was like, are you a planner? And I was like, big time, yes. Like, but very specifically, like a vacation, I'm planning food, and that's basically all I care about.
Yeah. Me and my littlest sister do that as well. We're like, she'll come to LA and we will just, from the second she gets off the plane until the second she leaves, just be like, Bowery Bungalow, then we're going to Spitz, then we'll hit Alcove for like breakfast, and then we're gonna go do like Cafe Los Feliz, and like it's just like literally start to finish, we're just like doing food at different places.
So good. My wife and I went to New Orleans last fall, and we had reservations for lunch and dinner every single day we were there.
Amazing.
And I think and maybe like a breakfast reservation as well. And then my wife was like, what else do you want to do? And I was like, I've done, my list is done. Whatever you want to do is fine. It's just icing on the cake.
Do you follow Jordon Murnick at all?
Is that...
They do stuff with Mythical. They're like,
oh yes, yeah.
They're my favorite person to follow for food stuff. It's like, I just am literally, I have just a notes app with like literally every restaurant in LA, and I think they lived in New Orleans, or maybe are from New Orleans. I know that they were in Florida for a while. Anyways, anytime I go somewhere, I literally just have like a list of restaurants where I'm like, okay, great, this one and this one and this one and this one, and I just slowly am making my way through every, just like their shadow, like just following any restaurant they go to. I'm like, okay, great, now I go to that restaurant now.
Yeah, they went to a vegan one really, well, maybe, I was going to say really recently, sometime in the last 6 months, that I saw like the clip of, and I was like, God, that looks good. Yeah. I was very like self-consciously like made sure that like I was sending you places that had solid vegetarian recommendations.
So appreciate that. I also am a vegetarian who ate meat from the second I landed to the second I took off on the plane.
Fair enough.
I was like, listen, I'm in Texas. We're going to...
Yeah.
My plan was, I was like, I'm going to go to a barbecue place at some point. Didn't make it. And that's okay.
We have a couple of decent vegan barbecue places here that they're pretty good. Next year, when you're here for South by, for obviously a much longer period of time, we'll have to go. I have to say, I feel like you're sold on South by because you got to meet Conan O'Brien, which is
I would say
wild.
Meat is loose. I got to watch from the side as he was doing improv, or his podcast, which was, truly very exciting. That, and also, too, did you know that they were sponsored by the Army?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Literally, I'm on the plane back, and I just like, I ended up on a flight with like a bunch of comedians that were also leaving, and we're like opening Instagram, and somebody just is like, all these bands are pulling out of South by. And we're like, bands are pulling out of South by? Why? And they were like, it's being sponsored by the Army.
Yeah.
What?
Not great. Yeah.
Not great. Or even good, maybe, I would say. But also, it kind of checks out. I was working from the hotel, but there were some people that went to that tech side of things, and we're talking about like some of the inventions and some of the stuff, and that the CIA was recruiting there, and I'm like, so this all checks out.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. I as someone who didn't get to go this year, I'm pretending that it's for the moral reasons and not because I couldn't afford a badge this year. Like I took a moral stance into because obviously, like, I saw your show, I went outside after your show, and it is the longest line I've ever seen to get into Esther's Follies, which is a 265-person theater, which I think is even a little small for, like, ASCAT and Improv for Humans. Like, probably could fill a bigger space.
Well, that is, like, normally those shows are happening, like, those live shows. I know Matt is doing Improv for Humans at Ice Lodge, Ice Cave. I don't know how big that venue is, but UCB is like, I think, a 99-seat theater, and they can squeeze like 120, something like that. Like, that's pretty standard. And then Largo is like maybe 200. Dynasty is like maybe 200, but I think probably closer to the 150 mark. So like LA, that's a big theater for LA. An LA show that's traveling.
A Conan O'Brien, Robert Smigel podcast playing to 265 people is bonkers.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, I was stunned when I found out that was happening. And right before you was Leonard Maltin with Frank Oz.
I know. It just was like, It really was nuts. It really was nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just, yeah, like, just getting to sort of see people come in and out like that was crazy.
Yeah.
Was crazy.
Yeah. There is always periodically, like, you'll have those, like, wild moments at South by where you're like, this is crazy, like, that, like, this is happening just right in front of me. I stumbled upon this thing. And yeah, it's like, outside of the, very questionable sponsorships this year, usually a very fun time. I don't ever go to music, so people have said that music has changed, but, like, the tech side of thing is always, like, as weird as fucking possible. So
there was apparently there was like a head that you could they were talking about this in the podcast. There was a head you could, like, ask questions to.
Yeah, like an AI head that would, like,
to me is just so crazy, because I'm like, you could just do two things that would do either of those things better, which is you can Google something, or you can just ask another person an opinion-based question, and they can give you an answer to that.
So last year, and this ended up in the Improv for Humans last year show, at the tech thing, there was you put on, they were like glass, I don't remember exactly how, it was like headphones, but it simulated eating. So it caused vibrations to go through your jaw, and you would, like, choose a snack, and it would, like, puff the smell at you, and then, like, you would move your mouth, and because, like, it would vibrate, it would trick your brain into thinking that you were actually eating that snack. And
why? What is the point of that?
They said it was for, like, medical reasons, of, like, if someone had, like, broken their jaw, this would get them used to being able to, like, eat solid food again. I think the real reason would be you could basically starve yourself and trick your brain into thinking you were eating.
You actually had eaten something.
Yeah. Anyway, made for a fantastic sketch on stage where, like, I don't even remember who it was. I think it was Jess McKenna going to, like, a restaurant where you got to, like, choose the type of food because you weren't actually eating any of the foods. You could pick anything in the world. That obviously, of course, the technology went wrong. But yeah, the show floor is fun and truly a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't believe I literally missed all of it. I wish I had seen, I think,
the head. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I could probably find a video of it, if I'm being honest. And I could do that. Yeah.
We are coming up. Well, we're fully at the hour, but we have not even touched on BDG.
An angel, a true angel, and one of the funniest and kindest people in the
Did you know
world.
Him before?
Met him literally as we were walking on set, but was, like, truly so wonderful. I really, really liked getting to do the improv with him, and he was, like, so game and so down for whatever, and I thought he did an amazing job.
So good. I will say the one complaint I saw online was that it sort of betrayed the premise of the show, because this was just BDG doing himself, that there was no character. That's just who he is.
Just him.
That's just him. And it made me laugh very hard.
That is so funny.
Like, because it's the same way that you just had the reaction of, like, as you're reading the first sentence of, like, this betrayed the premise of the show. I'm like, I don't think it. And then I was like, oh, I get it. Absolutely delightful. A very good man. Also a very good pun.
A brilliant, literally a brilliant name.
Yeah, people are still, like, just uncovering that. Like, seeing Reddit posts a week later of people being like, I just got it.
A genius,
so funny.
A literal genius.
Yeah, so funny. So excited for him to be, like, on the Dropout roster.
Me too. Have you been watching him, actually?
I have. It's super fun.
Just, like, obviously, really, I have been. Wonderful.
I got to prep for PAX East.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, man, I'm so excited for you. That is truly so exciting, Jordon, that I think you are now officially a co-CEO of Dropout, is what I'm hearing.
I think that's the title that PAX East is giving me.
So generous of them to give you that. That's really exciting. Truly, that is so exciting. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. This should publish before then, so if you have a badge for PAX East Saturday at a time that I don't remember,
in Boston,
Iffy, and BDG on the main stage, the Condor Room, I think is what it's called.
Oh, great! How fun!
Yeah. As I know that some other people, I know some other people that are going to be there, and someone was like, will you come to my panel? It's like, I genuinely didn't know. I have no idea what is happening, because all I had been checking for like a full week was the You tab on the page to see like, have they announced it yet? Can I tell people?
Incredible. Literally incredible. Well,
yes,
I hope you're getting all of the praise, and everybody's as excited for you as they should be, as I am.
Thank you.
So exciting.
I appreciate it so much. Before we go, Julia Stark. My God, what an artist.
Yes. Incredible. Literally across the board, and is so fast and is so talented. Like, it's every single time, every single one of those photos that come out are just unbelievable. And there's also somebody on Instagram handled Dork Zombie, who is so good. I mean, like, it really never ceases to amaze me how incredible and how many like artists follow along and like feel inspired to draw. My friend Waleed, who's like, I think it's Waleed Draws Things is the handle, has been doing them, and I was talking to him about his process, and he was like, my thought process is like, I drawing the characters as they are, as opposed to the actors being dressed up as the characters. And I was like, it comes through so beautifully. It's incredible. It really just blows my mind.
Fan artists are so fast and so talented.
Yes.
I especially loved your Julia's like giant-eyed host Vic.
I was like, I literally messaged, and I was like, I think this is like my favorite photo of me in any capacity. I think this might be my favorite one of actual photo or drawing.
Yeah, it was amazing. She's so talented.
Yes.
I will brag slightly that I sometimes help a little bit in that, because I have Kate's like high quality photos.
You can send those over.
Like I send those to her because I only have a handful of them. They didn't send out all episodes, but like they sent out the Tommy Shrigley ones, and so I sent Julia. I was like, over. Here's some like really solid things. You don't have to just like go from the trailer. So like, I'm
they were so good. All of them were so good. All of that Tommy art really killed me.
Oh, I know we have to go. I'm so sorry.
Please.
Deep Blue Ink is animating something from Tommy Shrigley.
Just like, I'm such a huge fan of Deep Blue Ink. Off the top, did a Mr. Mayo edit that we had a little Twitter back and forth, and I was like, my dad still sends this to the group chat. Like, truly, like, it is like so unbelievably talented, and I literally cannot stop talking about how talented Deep Blue Ink is.
Speaking of your dad, he sent me a clapping emoji when I posted a picture of you at South by Southwest.
Thank you so much. He does every once in a while DM me portions of your interviews to be like, look at this. I'm like, Dad, I was there. I know. It's me. My face is on that. I'm talking in that clip. I know.
I love it. So apparently Deep Blue Ink has had to like reconfigure his entire animation process because Tommy's head is not round, and his like he has the giant round heads, and so like he has to like change everything to animate it.
It's like round here, but then it's like that is crazy, and it's also attached, so that is so funny. I can't wait to see this.
I can't wait. We're gonna watch it together, live react to it.
Yeah, can't wait.
It's gonna be amazing.
All right, it.
Vic, this was amazing.
Jordon, this was great. Have a great trip.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I will keep you posted on everything we do.
Please.
I have an idea for a sign-off for us.
Right.
It's your catchphrase, but we bounce it back and forth, where I say, who's to say? You say, not me. I say, I can't. And you say, and I won't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's try it.
So yeah, who's to say?
Not me.
I can't.
And I won't.
Perfect. Nailed
it.
All right.